Hello everyone, how are you? I hope that I find you all very well indeed, and thank you ever so much for popping over just to check out this wee recipe, and I hope that I do find you very well indeed and you're all managing to stay safe and look after yourself, with all the madness that's going on just now. But yeah, fingers crossed it won't be for too much longer. So stay with me for the next 10 minutes and I'm going to take you through this brilliant recipe. It is a sausage roll recipe, but it's a bit of a fancier sausage roll recipe. It's got Parma ham in it, so it makes it a wee bit fancier. You don't need to use Parma ham at all, it just takes it up a wee notch. And I'm also going to be popping some cheese in as well. And as usual, all of the ingredients with their weights will be in the description box down below. If you're new, why not consider subscribing just before you leave? And that way you'll get notified whenever I post a new video. So that's the ingredients there. So I'm just going to run through them and show you what I've got. Now this will make 8 good sized sausage rolls, but you can make them as big or as small as you like. But I highly, urge you to give these a go. If you do like sausage rolls, I'm going to be using shop bought pastry because it's going to cut the time in half, and you might not be able to get all of the ingredients that you need, because I know flour is pretty hard to find just now, but this pre-made pastry you'll probably find a lot easier. Now I would normally use puff pastry for a recipe like this, but today I'm using short crust because I couldn't find puff pastry. Then I remembered I had some in the freezer but it wasn't defrosted, so I just went with the short crust and it turned out wonderfully, as you'll have seen if you've seen the pictures that I posted on Instagram earlier on. If you're not following me on Instagram, why not go over? You'll find all the details in the description box down below. Just click on the show more and I'll bring everything up down there. So let's move on and I'll show you what I've got for you today. So the first thing I've got is the Parma ham. Now I'm going to be using 5 slices. I've got 1 teaspoon of dried sage, 1 teaspoon of Worcester sauce or Worcestershire sauce. I've got about 30 grams of dried panko breadcrumbs, 500 gram of sausages, and that's about 8 standard links. I've got 50 grams of cheddar cheese, which is grated. I've got some salt and pepper, half of a red onion, which is finely diced, and that's the short crust pastry there. There's about 320 grams in that roll. So that's it. So let's go and see what's next. So this is the puff pastry brand that I'm using today, simply because it was the only brand that was available. The pastry is pretty thin on the ground as well. And there's exactly 320 grams, which is what I need. Like I said, I discovered I had puff pastry in the freezer, but this had actually too much. I didn't need as much as that. Plus it was frozen, so I couldn't use it. So first thing you want to do is get your sausages and you want to get the skin off. Now I use scissors specifically for raw meats and things. So I'm using scissors. I just cut off, cut up the length of the sausage and then the skin will come off pretty easily. Some are easier than others, but you'll find it quite easy. You can, of course, buy, sausage meat without the skin, but I prefer to do it this way because then you know what kind of sausages you're using. You can buy different sausages according to your own taste. So once you've done that, go over to your pan and you want to gently fry your onions and your sage until your onions are nice and soft. It'll just take you a few minutes. And once they're ready, just let them cool whilst you go on with this. So you want to break your sausage meat up just a wee bit. And then you can pop in your cooled onions and sage, then your Worcester sauce, and then a good sprinkling of salt and pepper, and then your breadcrumbs. I urge you to use breadcrumbs because those are going to help, soak up a lot of those meat juices, and they're not going to be swimming in grease when they come out of the oven. So that's fine. Set that to the side and get your pastry out. So you just want to unroll your pastry. And if there's any wee cracks, because sometimes you get cracks in the top, just go over it with your rolling pin just to smooth it out a wee bit. And I've actually cut the top and the bottom off just to square it off a wee tad. Then you want to lay down your Parma ham, just overlap it slightly. I ended up using 5 slices. Just remember to take off the plastic film that you normally find in these packs, because you wouldn't like to be chewing down in plastic. And then fold up a wee bit of your ham at the bottom. It's just so that when you roll up your sausage, you've got a wee lip there so you can moisten it to roll the whole thing together. Then shape your sausage meat into a sausage shape. I like to do 3 and then just sort of join them together. You want it fairly even all the way along. This is really easy. Just push it back from the top a wee bit so that you can get your pastry rolled over. Ideal. The last thing you want to do is pop on your cheese. Again, you can use any kind of cheese you like. Stilton, if you like Stilton, would work really well in this. So you just want to roll the whole thing up. Let's stop just before you get to the edge there, and you want to brush that with either some milk or a beaten egg. And again, I couldn't find eggs anywhere, and that's what I would typically use for this, but milk works just as well. So you want to gently lift that back onto your paper and refrigerate this for around 30 minutes just to let it harden up a wee bit before you slice into it, because if you do it at this stage it may be too soft and mushy. Just make sure you clear a shelf in your fridge. So give it half an hour and then get it out. So once it's had the half an hour, you can set your oven, and there are your temperatures there. Again, like I said at the beginning, it's up to you how big or how small you make these. I just cut mine into 8 pieces, and they're fairly big. And I was happy with these ones. Ideal. You can see everything there. You can see the Parma ham on the outside, and then your cheese and your sausage. So now you just want to put them onto an oven tray with some greaseproof paper and gently go over the top with some milk or some beaten egg. Bake these for 25 to 30 minutes until they're nice and golden and your sausage meat is cooked all the way through, and you'll have something that looks like this. And I was super impressed with these. They're just bursting with juices, and that cheese has just started to drip down the fronts. You can see how juicy they are there. Absolutely perfect. And they were absolutely delicious, let me tell you. Packed with flavour. You've got the Parma ham in there, you've got the cheese, your sage, your onion, the sausage meat. So you can either have them on their own, but we're keeping it classy. We're having ours with mashed potato and baked beans because this was our tea. But these make a fantastic picnic food. You could even do this the day before, have them cold. I'm sure they would be fabulous. So that's it. So like I said, really, really easy. And the shop-bought pastry is a fantastic alternative to making your own pastry, which does take a fair bit of time, especially puff pastry. You could be at that for half a day at least, there's quite a few steps in it. So for this kind of thing, just to keep it simple, use shop-bought pastry. It's every bit as good, in my opinion, and an excellent time saver. So that's it. So that's my wee recipe. And like I said, if you haven't yet, why not consider subscribing? Sorry about my throat. I've got a bit of a sore throat and a cold, and it is just the cold, nothing else. So like I said, consider subscribing, and if you haven't yet, follow me over on Instagram, because I tend to put pictures up there before YouTube sees them. So until I see you next time, guys, which is going to be Sunday for Meals of the Week as usual. So hopefully I'll see you back for that, or if not, next week for another recipe or another shopping haul, depending on which one I do first. So whenever I see you next, mind to take care of yourselves, and everyone around you. Take care, and bye for now. Bye now.